أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وإمامنا وقائدنا وقدوتنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. سبوح قدوس ربنا ورب الملائكة والروح. سبوح قدوس ربنا ورب الملائكة والروح. سبوح قدوس ربنا ورب الملائكة والروح. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Brother Riaz, can you hear me?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ustad, yes, can hear you clearly. Alhamdulillah. How are you, Ustad? You okay?
Very well, alhamdulillah. Very well.
So, Ustad, we'll be starting on Hadith 16 today. Is that correct?
Yeah, inshallah.
Bismillah.
طيب, Hadith number 16. The jinn can be killed when they appear physically in our material realm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَوْمَ يَحْشُرُهُمْ جَمِيعًا ثُمَّ يَقُولُ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ أَهَؤُلَاءِ إِيَّاكُمْ كَانُوا يَعْبُدُونَ قالوا سبحانك أنت ولينا من دونهم بل كانوا يعبدون الجن أكثرهم بهم مؤمنون. Whenever we gather together, the angels, it will be said to the angels, أَهَؤُلَاءِ إِيَّاكُمْ كَانُوا يَعْبُدُونَ Did they used to worship you? قالوا سبحانك, the angels reply back saying سبحانك أنت ولينا من دونهم. أنت ولينا من دونهم. Ya Allah, you are our guardian than them. بل كانوا يعبدون الجن. They used to worship the jinn. Why? Because sadly the magicians who think they are doing good, the shayateen claim they are angels. The shayateen, they claim they are angels. So on the Qiyamah day, it will be said to them, who did you used to ask and call for help and aid, and so on? They will say, we used to ask the angels. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked the angels, did they used to worship you? Then the angels reply, no, they never used to worship us or ask us or for help and aid. They used to worship the jinn. أَكْثَرُهُمْ بِهِمْ مُؤْمِنُونَ. The vast majority of the people who are claiming this, they used to believe in them, i.e. they used to worship them. Some, so here you find that some, they were misled, yes. But the vast majority of the magicians, they are not misled. They know exactly what they are playing with and they know exactly what they are committing of the crime. As for the hadith, عن أبي الطفيل قال لما فتح رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مكة بعث خالد بن وليد إلى نخلة وكانت بها العزى فأتاها خالد وكانت على 3 سمرات فقطع السمرات وهدم البيت الذي كان عليها ثم أتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأخبره فقال ارجع فإنك لم تصنع شيئا. فرجع خالد فلما بصرت به السدنة وهم حاجبتها أمعنوا في الجبل وهم يقولون يا عزة يا عزة. فأتاها خالد فإذا امرأة عريانة ناشرة شعرها تحتفن ترابا على رأسها فعممها بالسيف حتى قتلها ثم رجع إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأخبره فقال تلك العزة. قال خالد يا عزة كفرانك يا عزة كفرانك لا سبحانك إني رأيت الله قد أهانك. طيب. So Abu Tufail, he says, Sahabi رضي الله عنه, he says لما فتح رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, صلى الله عليه وسلم liberated Mecca, بعث خالد بن وليد صلى الله عليه وسلم, sent Khalid bin Walid to a garden, or you can say a plot, a big huge plot of date palm trees. Yeah. وكانت بها العزة, and Uzza, the idol that is to be worshipped, it is to be there. فأتاها Khalid. Khalid came and he saw sort of three segments, you can say, of palm trees. And there was a house therein. After the three segments, and Khalid bin Walid destroyed all of the three segments of or cluster of, or bush of, you can say, palm trees and date trees. And then he returned to Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to him, go back, you have not completed the mission. You have not done anything, meaning the original mission was not completed. So Khalid bin Walid came back. And then he saw a group of people, right, retreating to the mountains. And these groups of people, they were custodians of Uzza. You can say they were keeping guards for Uzza and the palm trees and the date trees. And they began to say, Ya Uzza, save us. Then Khalid saw a woman coming out completely naked, meaning without any clothes at all whatsoever. Her hair was untied, meaning loose, and she was throwing sand over her head, and Khalid bin Walid slaughtered her, basically struck her everywhere until she was killed. Then Khalid bin Walid returned back to Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and said, Tilka al-Uzza. So he reported what happened, and Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, that was Uzza, meaning that jinn is to speak through the idol, and people is to worship that jinn in the idol. Yeah, most of the temples, most of the places of worship of the non-Muslims are filled with devils specifically from Iblis, because the main job of Iblis is to take away, and his offspring is to take away human beings from worshiping Allah. So they are the jinns from the children of Iblis, and then you will have obviously the general jinns. Khalid, when he struck his head, these words, Ya Uzza kufranaki, O Uzza, I disbelieve in you. La subhanaki, I do not exalt you at all, yeah, like others are doing. Inni ra'aytu, and I have witnessed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has definitely and surely destroyed you and humiliated you. Meaning, Khalid bin Walid is speaking to the idol and obviously the jinn. Other reports include Khalid saying to Uzza, sorry, we just spoke about that. It is also transmitted that Uzza was located at a building or a structure in Nakhla, which the people venerate as the Kaaba is venerated. It surrounded a cluster of 3 trees which were sanctified to the people. The female devil was located therein. The people would worship and make tawaf of the structure. The female devil would speak to them from within, which only increased their transgression and misguidance. So the Prophet sent Khalid to destroy the structure and the trees and to kill the female devil, which in reality was the thing they worshipped. Okay? So here, so if, for example, a idol speaks or make some sounds, not even speaks, but make some sounds, or the food disappears, or gold appears. All of these are done by the devils for people to worship. So, for example, they draw lots. If this lot says this, it means this. All of these are done by the devils. Points of benefit. This report affirms that there was a female devil inside the idols, inside the idol Uzza, speaking to the people. Remove the S, Riyaz. Inside the idol Uzza, just put that there. They used to worship her and ask her to fulfill their needs while they were under the assumption that it was the idol interacting with them. Yeah. Number 3, Khalid ibn Walid either saw the female devil via kashf, or she took a physical form when appearing in our material realms such that she could be seen. So either Khalid bin Walid saw the female devil via kashf, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened the veil that's between him and the devil. So he saw her in daylight with his own naked eyes. Or she, the jinn, took a form within our realm. She took a form within our realm, just like the jinns can take forms of animals that we can see. She took a form of a female human being, and Khalid bin Walid saw her and then obviously killed her. When the jinn appear in our material physical realm, they are exposed to this material life's causes and effects. So our physical souls can kill them. So that's what some says in Sahih Muslim. If you see any snakes, give them, or if you see any animals, give them permission to leave, or ask them to leave thrice. And then Sallallahu to kill, he said what? If they don't leave, faqtuluhum, kill them. That means these are jinns. So some made it very clear as well. He said they are jinns. Some of them have become Muslims. Some of them are your brothers. So some of them are very clear they are jinns. They have taken forms within our realm, and thereby we can kill them just like we would kill any other animal. So here, same thing happened with Khalid bin Walid and the devil that was inside, the she devil that was inside was the idol. Once their place of residence is destroyed, the devils become exposed and powerless. So the magician shaitan and the mas shaitan, these are, especially if they have been with the patient for a long time, they have residence within the body, they have residence within the house, and so on. So what you need to find out is, where do they reside in the body? Where do they reside in the house? And you destroy that accordingly through spraying of the water, placing the hand, and so on. In order to completely cure sihr, the main devil with the sihr must either become Muslim or die. Yeah. So here, Sallallahu sent Khalid again. Go back. Yeah. Uzza was not destroyed. He destroyed the house. Yes. He destroyed the trees. Yes. These are all places of kufr and shirk and sihr and so on. You destroyed all of that, but you have not killed the main one. So killing the main magician, that's why I say the source. So either it's the source of the lineage, that was the first sihr that was done in your lineage, or the first sihr that was done in your immediate family, your parents, or the first sihr that was done on you, or the first shaitan does come to you, yeah, which brought all the other shayateen, or the first evil eye that was done on you, or on your lineage, or on your parents. So always attack the source. Always attack the source in your intention. When you attack the source, when you find out exactly what the source is it sihr, is it Is it jinn-possession only? Is it evil eye? Is it all three? Which days they are? Which times they came in? The more you go to the source of the matter, the more it is easier for you to destroy the sihr and get cured. So some sent Khalid to the source in of itself. Destroy the physical sources. Number 7. Most probably Khalid ibn Walid saw the devil because he was intending to locate the source of the matter. As in the first two occurrences, he did not find the source. And because he was making dua, dhikr and recitation. Obviously, as part of a Muslim, you do dhikr, you do dua to protect yourself. So Khalid ibn Walid obviously will do all of that. The Prophet taught them dua for entering empty places or when engaging in a battle. Thus, the least we can expect Khalid to say is Bismillah, Wallahu Akbar. That's the least we can expect Khalid ibn Walid to say in fighting or in killing or striking. Obviously, in striking, when we strike anything, we say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Yeah. Or any other similar dhikr. And this dhikr or any other similar dhikr suffices to see the source of the matter once it is intended and dua is made to Allah to see it. So, for example, you make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see the source. And you do your dhikr, you do your du'as, you do your adhkar, and you go to sleep. You may see the source. Or whilst you're awake, you're making the du'as in your sujood or in your sitting. You're making the dua, you're making the du'as, you're making the dhikr, you're making du'as, you're asking Allah to see the source. And Allah suddenly, in a flash, shows you the source, like kashf. So He unveils the veil between you and the source. Okay? So that can also happen. So with Khalid ibn Walid, both could have happened. It could have been that the jinn devil physically came within the realm of us physical human beings, or a kashf took place. A kashf took place. That Khalid ibn Walid what's the difference? The difference is that if it was kashf, then only Khalid was able to see the devil. And if it was no kashf, if she came into the realm, then every human being who was there can see it. That's the difference. Hadith number 17. The most coveted action to Iblis is to separate loved ones from one another. And the most beloved action to Iblis is to separate loved ones from one another. And they followed instead what the devils had decided during the reign of Sulaiman. It was not Sulaiman who displayed, but the devils displayed, teaching people magic, and that was which was revealed to the two angels at Babylon, Harut and Marut. And the two angels do not teach anyone unless they say, we are a tribe. So do not display by practicing magic. And yet they learn from them that by which they cause separation between a man and his wife. Should be a man, it should be between Mar is not a man, so it should be between a person or individual, better, an individual and their spouse, companion or companion / companion. Zawji doesn't necessarily have to mean a wife, yeah. Individual and his, you can write and his dear one and his dear one. So DEAR, dear one. Yeah, that's better. So whoever is dear to you, this sihr is done. Sihr tafriq is done to separate yourself from the individual. So it could be your friend, it could be your neighbor, it could be your wife, it could be your husband, it could be your father, it could be your mother, it could be your sibling, it could be your son, it could be your daughter, it could be anyone. Yeah. So is this mar simply means an individual. It doesn't mean a man. وزوجه and his zawj can mean anyone who he is close to or who she is close to. Yeah. They do not harm anyone through it except by the permission of Allah, and the people learn what harms them and does not benefit them. But the children of Israel certainly knew that whoever purchased the magic would not have in the hereafter any share, and rest is that for which they sold themselves if they only knew. Yeah. Now the main thing, the main point I would like you to focus on is إلا بإذن الله وما هم بضارين به من أحد إلا بإذن الله. Yeah, that part. Okay, they are unable to harm anyone, and min came here. The min أحد, any single person, from baby to a bedbound person, everyone's included. Yeah, min أحد, they are unable to harm anyone with it. Bihi is with it. With the specific sihr they have done. Illa bi'idhnillah, except by the permission of Allah. That means every single sihr, doesn't matter how big it is or huge it is, or how many it is or how small it is, it has to go through the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His permission. Is that clear, my brothers and sisters? So there is a specific permission given for sihr that is done on a specific individual. And remember, their intention is to separate you from your friend, from your parents, from your children, from your siblings, from your neighbors, from your spouses. Does it happen? Yes, it happens, but it's rare. The vast majority of the people, they have communication gap, they have difficulties, they have challenges, yes, but they don't separate, they don't completely break ties. Yeah, due to sihr. Yeah, they still have love, they still have care, they still have mercy, and so on. And that means the intended evil and harm from the magicians is not taking effect at the utmost level. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has minimized its effects, minimized its negative energy. Yeah, otherwise, obviously, the day the day and the moment they did the sihr tafriq, for example, that moment and that time and that day, they would have separated from each other. That's the verse, famous verse in Surah Baqarah, verse 102. As for the hadith, إن إبليس يضع عرشه على الماء ثم يبعث سراياه فأدناهم منه منزلة أعظمهم فتنة يجيء أحدهم فيقول فعلت كذا وكذا فيقول ما صنعت شيئا قال ثم يجيء أحدهم فيقول ما تركته حتى فرقت بينه وبين امرأته قال فيدنيه منه ويقول نعم أنت. I'm sure you all know this hadith. This hadith is Muslim. Iblis' face is thrown upon water. He then sends this, basically he's trying to copy Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A'udhu billah. Then he sends detachments, creating dissension, and they are cause of fasad, mischief. Nearer to him in rank are those who are most notorious in creating dissension, mischief, basically, havoc. So at the top layer of all evil are who? Are the children of Iblis. The children of Iblis, Jami'an. So they are the ones who the human beings are seeking help and aid and protection and so on. Yeah, and they are the ones who are being worshipped by the most evil of human beings. Yeah. So they will go at the end of the day. They will go to Iblis and they will say, "I did such and such," and he says, "You have done nothing." So these are children of Iblis. They go to him and they say, "I've done such and such," and he says, "You have done nothing." Then one amongst them comes and says, "I did not leave so and so until I separated him from his wife." Yeah. ما تركت حتى فرقت بينه وبين امرأته. Iblis goes near him and says, how excellent are you? فَيُدْنِيهِ. فَيُدْنِيهِ can mean two meanings. Either Iblis goes near him, or either he, the one who separated the shaitan, that separated the person from his wife, he brings, Iblis brings that person near to him, Iblis. And that is more appropriate because it's about status and rank. So the more closer the devil are to Iblis, the more higher the status and rank is. Points of benefit. Iblis, curses be upon him and his army of slaves. The ultimate plan is to destroy us human beings. They are working daily to execute that plan. Mainly to make us away from worship of He Jalla wa Ala subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the ultimate goal. And thereby my nasiha to all of you is that as long as you are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be thankful, be grateful. As long as you are worshipping Allah, you're truly worshipping Him, you're calling Him, you're begging Him, you're asking for His forgiveness, you're content, you're grateful, you're sacrificing for Him, you're donating for His sake, you're praying your salawat, you're fasting, you're giving your sadaqat, your zakat, you're performing your umrah, your hajj, you're being dutiful to your parents and to your husbands and to your wives, you're taking care of your daughters and your sisters and your nieces and so on. As long as you are doing what you're meant to do and you're trying to be the best you can be, then thank Allah and be grateful to Him. Don't worry about poverty, don't worry about these difficulties and challenges, because they will lessen. As long as you take the means, they will lessen, they will become minimal, and you can move on, you can live your life. And even if they become challenging and difficult, your reward is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first in dunya life, then in the coming life. He sends his army out daily, accounts them daily, and grants them more authority and power daily. They have status, ranks, and power according to how much and how many human beings they destroy. Number 4. Destroying a Muslim family, especially with divorce, is one of the most satisfying deeds to Iblis. Satisfying actions should be, not deeds. Cross the word deeds out. Action. These are usually used for good work, good deeds, basically, good actions. He makes that very clear, and his followers know that very well. He also reminds his followers of that daily. So this occurs daily. They are relentless and do not give up in destroying a family, especially to get a separation or a divorce. They compete with one another to destroy us. This narration shows the degree of strength they possess, from whispers to full possession. So much so that one of them said, I did not leave him until I separated him from his wife. You see? And this is uttered by Sallallahu. So this statement, if it was not true, Sallallahu would not have uttered these statements, and the revelation would now reveal to Sallallahu to utter these statements. But it's true, it's factual that this shaitan separated the man, the husband, from his wife. So how can they do that? Simple with whispers? No, beginning is whispers, but that's not the end. The end could be possession. Allah describing it as fitna shows the level of the envy, mercilessness, and ruthlessness. Yeah? Allah describes in the verse fitna. Yeah? And they are causing mischief upon the surface of the earth. Yeah? In the verse fitna and in the hadith fitna. فَأَدْنَاهُ مِنْهُ مَجْدَةً أَعْظَمُ فِتْنَةً. The one who causes the most fitna shows that what Allah described it as fitna shows the level of their envy, mercilessness, and ruthlessness. That's why they are called evil. Shar. Shar is described of them. The separation does not necessarily mean actual Sharia legislative divorce. This is key word here, my brothers. Focus on this statement I'm going to mention. The separation does not necessarily mean actual Sharia legislative divorce. That is why the word farraqa was used and not talaq. I want you all to focus on this point, because there's a lot of divorces that take place due to the sihr and due to jinn-possession that sadly the Islamic courts give in the UK and other places. But when they come to myself, I revoke it, because I know, because firstly I'm a patient, so I know it was a sihr that was doing it. And here Sallallahu did not say talaqa. He divorced his wife. Sallallahu said farraqa, separated from his wife. So Sallallahu was very careful not to use talaqa. Yeah. So farraqa means that yes, maybe he did say the word divorce, maybe she sought khul'a, but in Sharia terms, because it was the jinn doing all of this, or sihr doing all of this, or evil eye doing all of this, right? The talaq did not take place. Obviously, this has to be judged by a scholar who's also raqi, a scholar who's also raqi, or a raqi who is also a scholar. He can't be simply a scholar, and he can't be simply a raqi. He has to be a raqi who is also a scholar, or a scholar who is also a raqi. And it needs to be done by an expert. It can't be simply a expert raqi or a expert scholar. He has to have expertise in both fields in a meticulous way. In a meticulous way. What's my definition? Write this down. What's my definition of expert raqi? He or she, they went through something similar, or their families went through something similar, and they were able to cure them. See that again? They themselves went through something similar, or their family, it could be sister, it could be mother, it could be father, it could be daughter, went through something similar, and they were able to cure. And they were means of cure, basically. Then they will know the meticulous, the plan, the games, what is possession, how far can it possess, what is the difference between mental illness and possession, and so on. All of the subtleties, the meticulous differences, they will be able to know, especially if the sihr was long, like 10 years, 15 years, long time they have to deal with it. Then that's who I call an expert raqi. Write that down. That's who I call an expert raqi. Either they themselves went through something similar, like sihr tafriq, something similar like that, or sihr al-majnoon, sihr of insanity, or sihr of blockage. So whatever they are dealing with, they themselves went through it at a very severe level, or their family member went through at a severe level, and they were not only their family went through it, but they themselves were a means of cure. Then I will call that raqi an expert raqi. Otherwise, he can be a raqi, no problem. He can cure people, no problem. He can be a means of curing people, no problem. But I will not define him or her expert, right? Because they will not know the meticulous, the detailed ways the shayateen play the games. This hadith clearly and explicitly cautions Muslim judges when issuing a divorce, especially when there exists a severe case of sihr and jinn possession. This hadith, what was it said? What was the reason for this hadith? What was the reason for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this to us? Is because when divorce takes place, they go to a judge, right? And the judge says, yes, divorce has taken place or divorce has not taken place in Islam. A Muslim judge, he then decides the divorce has taken place or it has not taken place. So this hadith is for a Muslim judge to be careful, to see if there was any sihr involved, any evil eye involved, any jinn possession involved. So this hadith was specifically for Muslim judges. Number 11. Muslim judges ought to seek assistance on severe cases of sihr and jinn-possession from expert raqids and mental health doctors before issuing a verdict of divorce. So, if someone has mental health and they give divorce, does divorce takes place? Obviously not. So, a mental health, sihr, evil eye, and jinn-possession, they are also within mental health. So, if mental health patient gives divorce, jurists all agreed that their divorce doesn't take place. Or for example, a drunk person gave divorce, yeah, or a drugged person gave divorce, or a person who was sleeping gave divorce. The jurists agreed that their divorce doesn't take place. So if that is the case, then obviously a possessed person, a person who has sihr specifically done on him or her to separate, their divorce is more appropriate not to take into account. Why not? Because the jinns, the devils are involved, because they are there to separate the couple. And the hadith is making it very clear, they do separate couple. That is because a person who severely possessed or mentally ill may utter divorce dozens of times within a single hour, or in the case of a woman seeking khula, divorce initially by the woman often. So she may seek khula often. Number 12. The word farraqa implies that the husband and wife did not want to separate, because it's pulled in the verse and in the hadith. Farraqa was used. Separation was used with the shadda, meaning they themselves did not want to separate, but they were being pulled from one another by something, by a outer force that was making them separate. What does that mean? That means their emotions were being manipulated. It was being manipulated. Their emotions, the hearts were being manipulated. The nafs was being manipulated. The negative energy was manipulating their feelings of love and mercy and care, and was channeling the love and care and mercy, or covering it up, so that they eventually separate. So the hadith uses the word farraqa, and also the verse 102 uses yufarriqun. This both implies the meaning that they did not want to separate. And what's the essence of divorce? The essence of divorce, she herself wants to separate from him. The essence of divorce, he wants to separate from her. The utterance is just an expression of what they want in their hearts. So if the hearts do not want the divorce and the tongue utters 100 times, does the divorce take place? Obviously not. So it's what the heart wants at that moment of time. Your actual heart, yeah, what it wants. And that's what the judge needs to find out. At that moment, what did your heart want? At that moment when you uttered it, did your heart want divorce without any external force or not? If the answer is yes, obviously between you and Allah, you know, yes, I wanted divorce. Then khalas, even if there was sihr, even if there was sihr of tafriq, even if there was jinn-possession and evil eye to separate between you and your wife, between you and your husband, as long as you wanted it at that moment of time, then even if you had all of those, then in the sight of Allah, divorce has taken place because you wanted it. But if you did not want it and the external force was working, then the divorce has not taken place in the sight of Allah, even though maybe the Muslim courts will say divorce has taken place. What's the benefit of knowing all this? The benefit of knowing all this is that on Qiyamah Day, the wife and the husband that was divorced due to sihr of tafriq, due to external force, and they did not want to divorce themselves, they will come back together as a husband and wife in Jannah. That's the benefit of knowing this point. One may ask, okay, what about if I'm divorced and I get married again to somebody else? What happens then? Yeah? Then you have a choice. on Qiyamah Day, who you want to be with. You have a choice who you want to be with. Obviously, if it's a man, then there's no problem for him. He can have many wives as he chooses. But if it's a woman, she has to choose either their first husband or their second husband. Number 10, number 11, I think. Muslim judges ought to seek assistance on severe cases of sihr and jinn-possession from expert rahiz and mental health doctors before issuing a verdict of divorce. That is because a person who is severely possessed or mentally ill may utter divorces sometimes within a single hour, or in the case of women seeking khula, divorce initiated by the woman often. So if she seeks khula often, every day she's seeking khula, she's either mentally ill, right? A sane woman who wants khula, she'll just say once, I want khula. And then she will go to the judge saying, I want khula. It will be normal, calm, collected statement. So seeking as well. It will not be shouting, wailing, crying, anger. No, it will be calm, collected, because she herself wants the khula. Yeah. Number 12. The word farraqa implies that the husband and wife did not want to separate, but were pulled away from each other with force, from external force. Just write that down. From each other with external force, or from external force. The exact same word and its meanings are mentioned in the Quran, يفرقون. So same word is mentioned there. Talaq is not mentioned. Notice talaq is not mentioned. Number 14. The devils define envy, merciless, and ruthlessness. They are the definition of envy, jealousy, mercilessness, ruthlessness. They are the definition of evil. So you must internalize this. They are evil. And the only way to expose evil is first take them as evil. And then you expose them that they are evil. What they do is evil. What they say is evil. What they whisper is evil. Everything is evil. Right? And the way to way to kill them is by opposite of evil, which is tawheed, pure worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, internally and externally. Number 15, the whole point of the message of informing us about the devils is so that we don't seek separation, don't utter the words of divorce, and we take our utmost means to mitigate and work out our genuine problems and differences. So even if you have sihr of separation, even if you have ayn of separation, hasd of separation, jinn-possession of separation, even if you have all of those matters, that doesn't mean we separate. The hadith is there so that we fight that. We fight it and we keep our spouses. We give them the benefits of doubt and we keep hold of our spouses. We don't let that devil win and give him a rank in front of Iblis. Number 16. This information communicated to us about the unseen, unheard, and unwitnessed realm is so that Muslim judges are cautious when issuing divorce or khula. They are responsible for learning the real root reason, issue, cause for the divorce, rather than simply looking at the words and statements of the divorce itself. If the real root issues are true and genuine, and it does in average couple lead to divorce, like adultery or no love, and even if no divorces are uttered, the actual divorce may take place in the near future through mutual consent. However, if there are no genuine reasons for divorce, and they often utter the words of divorce or often seek khula, or they have no serious reason for the divorce, then there is surely a concern of the devils playing a ruthless part in all of this. Number 17. Most families are kept together by the permission and assistance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Iblis confirms this by saying, you have done nothing. So all of these devils go to separate the families. They all return They all return except one. That means each day only one divorce takes place. Yeah. Even that one divorce may not, maybe one day divorce does not take place at all. How? Because he says, I kept with them until I divorced them. So even that one, it could be weeks until that divorce takes place. So it could be in the whole of Muslim Ummah, these jinns, these devils, they go back to Iblis, weeks go by, months go by, maybe even sometimes a year or two go by, no divorce has taken place. In the past, alhamdulillah, there was rarely any divorce. Rarely any divorce. Hadith 18. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Number 18. Point number 18. The believers are capable of fighting these devils. In fact, they are stronger and powerful than them, since the vast majority of the Muslims do not divorce. So this shows that what the believers they fight to be with the spouses. They fight and they eventually win against the sihr, against the shayateen, because the essence of sihr is from shayateen, right? So that means they win. They defeat them. They destroy them. They destroy the sihr. They destroy the evil eye. They destroy the devils. Yeah. Well, at least if they can't destroy them, the devils leave them alone. And from that hadith, you can get the indirect message that some of these devils fail. What does fail mean? Fail means they go back and they're like, oh, we could not divorce them. That means they failed. What does that mean? That means they leave these couples alone. They're failing. They move on to another couple. Yeah. So the believers are capable of fighting these devils. In fact, they are stronger and powerful than them, since the vast majority of Muslims do not divorce. Clear? So even if the devils are there in the family, in between you and your husband, in between you and your wife, the vast majority of these devils will fail. Yeah. But you have to do your part. You have to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to have your tawakkul. You have to have your full trust. You have to have your full reliance. You have to have your sacrifice, your sadaqah, your du'as, your fasting, your qiyamul layl, your recitation, your adhkar. Yeah. You being dutiful towards your parents, towards your neighbors, and so on. Yeah. You being good who you can be. You being the best you can be. Yeah, you fighting your jihad. This is your jihad. If you die, you become shahid. Yeah, and even if you don't die, you'll get the reward of shahada for fighting them. You'll get the reward of shahada for fighting them, even if you don't die, because they want to kill you. Kill you meaning emotionally, psychologically, mentally, physically. They can't kill you, so they want to kill you internally. And if they can't, you're fighting them, then you'll get the reward of shahada, because they try to kill you. Remember, the best of death is shahada, and the best of deeds is jihad. The best of deeds, Sallallahu said, the head of the matter is jihad. So, and you're fighting with the devil. So your reward is huge in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So fight them. Fight them with the intention of jihad, with your ruqya treatments. Take all of the ruqya treatments. Take all the support that you can get. Yeah. Hadith 18. Human beings are capable of killing the jinn when they transgress and come into our physical realm. And among us are the righteous, and amongst us are others who are not. We were of divided ways. So there are many groups, many tribes within the jinns, many groups roaming around. Yeah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here affirms some of them are righteous, others are not. As for the hadith, Inna bil Madinati jinnan. So here Sallallahu is affirming, in Medina there are jinns. Qad aslamu. They have become Muslim. فإذا رأيتم منهم شيئا فآذنوه ثلاثة أيام فإن بدا لكم بعد ذلك فاقتلوه فإنما هو شيطان. There are in Medina jinn that have accepted Islam. So when you see any of them, pronounce a warning to it for 3 days. And if they appear before you after that, then kill it, for that is the devil. Yeah. So here Sallallahu is saying, in Medina, so in the best of places, there are jinns. However, there are Muslims, meaning some of them were there while Sallallahu was there, and they were not Muslims. So they are Muslims and then non-Muslims. Some of them became Muslim. Yeah. But if you see anything from them, what does that mean if you see anything from them? So if you actually physically see them either in animal form or either in other forms, so we can see jinns in not in the real form, but in other forms. Give فَآذِنُوا ثَلَاثَ أَيَّامٍ. In other narration, in your houses, and that's why the 3 days is there. So in your houses, if you see them as snakes, as rats, mainly as snakes. In other narrations, the word snake. So if you see them residing, coming out at night time and eating this and eating that, yeah, then tell them to leave 3 times. How do you tell them to leave 3 times? Some did not say. So some did not specify. So you can say, for example, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. With the name of Allah, I command you all with the name of Allah to, I command you all jinns with the name of Allah, if you're Muslims, to leave. Yeah? And you do this 3 times. Now you do this 3 times, 3 days, doesn't mean you don't take precaution from the snake. No, you take your precautions. So you can put, for example, barriers in your rooms, making sure the snake doesn't come in your roof, and so on, whilst you tell them to leave 3 times. So you take your precautions. Also didn't say not to take precautions. So make sure you take the precautions. And then if you still see them, so on the 4th day, if you still see the snake, then kill it. It is a devil. It is kafir. It is not a Muslim. Points of benefit. The jinn may reside inside our homes. That's the first thing. Yeah. Once their presence we sense, once the presence is sensed, they ought to be asked to leave. So once you sense the presence, you don't have to physically see them. If you sense them, then command them to leave. Say Bismillah, in the name of Allah. If there are any jinns, leave. If after 3 days of asking they have not left, we are permitted to take the means to kill them. So means to kill them, if you can't see them, what do you do? What's the means of killing them? Play the Quran. What's the means of killing them? Spraying the house. What's the means of killing them? Wiping your house by saying Bismillah Allahu Akbar with the right hand. But these are all means of killing them. It's as if physically you're strangling them. Number 4. The jinn that come into our physical material room and we see them are susceptible of being killed by human beings. So we've mentioned this before. Example of that was Khalid bin Walid, or the evidence of that was Khalid bin Walid killing the woman who was within the idol Uzza. Number 5. The details of how best to request them to leave has not been given. Therefore, the matter is open and flexible. But make sure you use the name of Allah. That's the minimum for a Muslim in everything that we do. We utilize the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 7, it is permitted to kill even Muslim jinn that oppresses. So just like a human being, if it oppresses to the level of attacking you and trying to kill you and harming you, then obviously you are allowed to defend yourself. And if it means you kill him, then as Sazam said, they are in Jahannam, and if they kill you, you are shaykh. So even if it's a Muslim jinn, that's a presence. So sometimes you find, for example, in the patient, a Muslim jinn doesn't want to leave, is arrogant, but you give him permission, you ask him to leave 3 times, and then after that, you're fully allowed, the raqi is fully allowed to kill that jinn while reciting and intending, or spraying on the nose in order to strangle the breathing, stop the breathing of the jinn. The jinn become Muslim by observing us in our realities. So that's number 8. So the jinns, they can become Muslim by observing our realities. So some here did not specifically say that they have become Muslims because I gave them da'wah or we gave them da'wah. So they can simply become Muslim just by observing our worship in our realities. Hadith number 19. Children and household items are vulnerable to the mischief of the devils during sunset. The verse, يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان. O company of jinn and mankind, if you are able to pass beyond the regions of the heavens and the earth, it should be the skies rather than heavens. Skies. And the earth and pass, you will not pass except by the authority of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning, there's a boundary that no one can pass through it with technology or with the speed of the jinns. As for the hadith, he says, إذا كان جنح الليل أو أمسيتم فكفوا صبيانكم فإن الشيطان ينتشر حينئذ فإذا ذهب ساعة من الليل فأقلوهم وأغلقوا الأبواب واذكروا اسم الله فإن الشيطان لا يفتح بابا مغلقا وأوكوا حربكم واذكروا اسم الله وخمروا آنيتكم واذكروا اسم الله ولو أن تعرضوا عليها شيئا وأطفئوا مصابيحكم. In this hadith, the Messenger gave very, very specific instructions for us to be protected, especially our children. Yeah. So first he said, when the wings of the night spread, so it's evening. So it's before Maghrib, just before Maghrib, say have 20 to 30 minutes before Maghrib. That's when the shayateen spread. After Maghrib Salah, after the Salah in the Jami Masjid, in the main masjid of the area, then you can let the children out again, no problem. And again, when the night becomes dark and silent, yeah, bring the children back. So, for example, after Isha Salah, say 20-30 minutes after Isha Salah, bring the children back inside until Fajr time. This is specific to children. Children who are classed as children are classed as children who are below puberty. They are all classed as children. Subyanakum, they are all classed as subyan. The other instructions are some said, وَغْلِقُوا الْأَبْوَابَ. Close the doors, and not only that, what did he say? Say Ismullah. Mention the name of Allah. So that means the most greatest power, minimum, the most greatest power we have is Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the utterance of that Tawheed in any way. Anyway. So when you close the door, وَغْلِقُوا الْأَبْوَابَ. Now, sometimes we get a lot of questions. For example, it's very hot. If you close the door, we will be more hot, especially when there's power cuts and so on. So what do? So what you do is, you don't close the full door. You close a little bit by saying Bismillah. So as long as you separate from the sun, when the sun is setting, you separate it. Before the sun setting, the door was completely open. The windows are completely open. And when the sun is about to set 20-30 minutes, you close the door, you close the windows by saying Bismillah. You don't completely close it, so you let there's some uh, gap left for air and wind to come through. That's fine also, because it's Bismillah with the intention of blocking the jinns and shayateen coming through. They will be prevented from coming through. فإن الشيطان لا يفتح بابا مغلقا. Shaitan doesn't open a door that is closed. That means what? That means they can actually physically open the door. So you can physically see them opening the door. That's one. The other meaning is that if you said Bismillah, and you close the door, right? There is a spiritual door that was closed with the physical door that they can't come through. But if you don't say Bismillah and you close the door, then the door is still open for them to come through. Is that clear? So the key thing is Bismillah. The key point here is Rasulullah said, close the door and then mention the name of Allah. That means just by closing the door, right, the jinn still can come through, the devil still can come through. And we know from practical reality, when people get possessed, the jinns come through even though the doors are closed, even though the windows are closed. Clear? So the key is mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that will close the door of their realm by which they cannot come through. وَأَوْكُوا قِرَبَكُمْ. And again, close the mouths of your utensils. So anything you put your food and water therein, anything to eat and drink, close these utensils. Tie them up. Again, by what? By saying Bismillah. So you say Bismillah, what happens? A spiritual closing takes place. So they cannot eat, they cannot drink, they cannot enter. And mention the name of Allah if they come, if you sense them, mention the name of Allah. So again, if you sense, the most powerful thing is Tawheed and mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What we must have, and some said about the fire lamps, not extinguish them completely, but lower them. So this is back in the days there were fires that is to be lit for cooking, and is to be left on, and then the fire is to be caught in the house. And shayateen is to do this when people was to sleep. In some narrations, fawasiqa are the rats and mice, especially rats. They used to cause fires. Some of these rats are jinns. Some of these rats are shayateen. So Rasul said, so extinguish the fire that will most likely will cause fire, to completely extinguish it. As for the fire that will not cause fire, like lamps, for example, it's got a safety, it's got a security of glass and so on, then lighten it, lower it basically. Nowadays, for example, we have electricity and so on. Just recently, a lot of shops got burnt, and you hear this news here and there. Shops are burned due to current and electricity and so on. So the best thing to do is at least switch off the ones that you are not using at night. And mobile phones, there's a lot of cases of mobile phones. So make sure, even if you have your mobile phones on charging at night, put them distant from yourself. Put them far distant from yourself. Cover your utensils and tie your water skins and close your water vessels and close your doors and keep your children close to you at night, as the jinn spread out at such time and snatch things away. So here it also shows that the jinns and the devils, they fear adults. They fear Muslim adults. They fear adults generally, and children are more vulnerable. Children are more vulnerable. And as the jinn spread out at such time and snatch things away. When you go to bed, put out your lights, for the mischief doer, i.e. the rat, may drag away the wick of the candle and burn the dwellers of the house. Ata said the devils and of jinns. Okay. Points of benefit. The devils spread when the sun is setting, and that is the period when they are most mischievous. Why? Because they are being worshipped. They are being worshipped. We target children, food, and water of the household. Target children, food, and water of the household. That means they eat our food, and obviously other hadith affirm that. They drink our water. So any water that Bismillah was not said, so if any water is saved and left, make sure you say Bismillah and leave it. If any fruit, make sure you say Bismillah, so then they can't eat. If one of the reasons why there's so much sihr and possession in the West is because Bismillah is not being said. Simple as our parents are not saying Bismillah, and because of that, the children are suffering. Yeah, anything we do, Bismillah should be uttered. Bismillah should be uttered. When you enter the house, Bismillah. When you leave the house, Bismillah. When you enter the room, Bismillah. When you pick up your food, Bismillah. When you pick up a glass of water, Bismillah. Bismillah should be one of my quotes is Bismillah ought to be the utmost uttered word of the day. If there was a quiz, what ought to be the most uttered word of the day? It ought to be Bismillah. It ought to be Bismillah. Number 3, they may eat our food and drink. Number 4, they may possess children. So what's the point of bringing children in and so forth? What's the point of that if they cannot harm the children? That means they can harm the children. How can they harm children? How can they harm children? Minimum, a touch of a limb. So they possess a limb. Minimum. Minimum, a whisper. Yeah. Or minimum delusion, they make the child go deluded and wander around. These are minimum, maximum possession. Yeah. So Sallallahu made it very clear to bring the children in because shaitan spread at that time. And the key word here, فَإِنَّ الْجِنِّ انْتِشَارًا وَخَطْفَةً. For in that time, the shaitan, they spread and khatfa. They have a snatch, they snatch. Yeah. So they can snatch the child, baby, and obviously we heard there's so many stories. They find the baby. It can happen to even adults. They find the baby in the pond or in the mud. Yeah. Number 5, they may target fire lamps to burn down the house. Number 6, the devils have khatfa, so they have snatch. Yeah, so they can snatch things from money to food to drink to children, to babies, to children, to clothes. Yeah, they can snatch things. Number 7, the jinn cannot enter through closed, locked doors, nor can they eat or drink from closed doors, sealed utensils over which the name of Allah Bismillah was mentioned. Or any other dhikr. But main sunnah dhikr is Bismillah. So Bismillah, we are actually seeking refuge, aid and barakah, blessings from the actual being Allah Jalla wa Ala subhanahu. Because we are saying Bismillah with the name of Allah Jalla wa Ala, rather than simply the word name Allah. Yeah, is that clear? So it's not then the word Allah, right, that is doing blockages. It is when we say Bismillah with the name of Allah, meaning the being who is called Allah, the being who is called Allah, we are seeking His aid to block these. So then Allah, what does it do? Allah blocks the physical door with a door within their realm. So it's Allah doing that. Is that clear? So as soon as you say Bismillah, Allah is enacting and putting the barrier and door against the jinns. Number 8, through Bismillah we actually seek mention this. Number 9, this hadith clearly demonstrates the power of the names of Allah when accompanied with an intention. So obviously the intention is closing the door and making sure the devils don't come through the door, closing the windows, lowering the fire or extinguishing the fire. So these are intentions with the Bismillah, seeking the aid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So intention is key. It also demonstrates that whatever is intended when mentioning the names of Allah takes effect. Yeah. Number 10. If rooms and food and water utensils can be blocked off or protected by mentioning the names of Allah, then one can also block themselves and the house they reside at by mentioning the names of Allah with that intention. So what do? You say Bismillah, you blow into your hands and wipe your whole body with the intention of what? Blocking yourself from the devils. So if a vessel of water, if food container, if the room can be blocked by saying Bismillah, then you yourself can be blocked. You're part of the room, you're part of eating the food and the water. Yeah? So you yourself can be blocked by saying Bismillah with the intention though to block yourself from sihr, from evil eye, from hasad, from negative energy, and from the devil. Inshallah, we'll stop here. We'll take questions and continue next week, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Allah protect all of us from the devils, from the mother of shayateen, from the iblis and his children and offsprings and his progeny, from general jinns who are oppressive and mischief. Allah protect us from all oppression and harm. Allahumma amin, Allahumma amin, Allahumma amin. Allah cure us from all types of sihr, all Allah burn all the sources of sihr, ayn, hasad. May Allah Jalla wa'ala cure mental health, any mental health, any negative energy. Allah protect us from any negative energy. Allah give us positive energy, surround us with positive energy. Allahumma amin, Allahumma amin, Allahumma ta'ala envelop us within His grace, within His mercy, within His forgiveness, within His cure, within His barakah. Allahumma amin, Allahumma amin, Allahumma amin. Yeah. Bismillah, Riyaz. I'll take questions.
Bismillah. Okay, we'll start question number 1. Please, can you...
Questions from last lesson. Actually,
do you want me to mention the questions from last week?
Yes, because you mentioned you're going to mention them.
Yes, okay.
So
Brilliant. I'm just going to bring them up. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Question from last week. Question number 1.
The ones we've already answered, do not ask the questions which are relevant
to
the topics and which is not repeated.
Okay, Ustad. Bismillah. How can someone who spends most of their time alone gain extra protection from the shayateen? As a hadith mentions, shayateen attacks the one who is alone more.
Say that one more time, sorry.
Okay, Bismillah. How can someone who spends most of their time alone gain extra protection from the shayateen, as a hadith mentioned shayateen attacks the one who is alone more.
Lay the Quran. Lay the Quran in your room. Listen to the Quran. And have wudu. Have wudu. These are the two protection. And then try your best to be out and about with people who love you and who want good for you. Spend time with them.
Okay, the next question. Please, can you teach me a dua for seeking refuge from the shayateen?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم من نفخه ونفثه وهمزه. So Allah specified that dua for you to seek refuge from all of their harms. Memorize that inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم من نفخه ونفثه وهمزه. Keep repeating, get blowing to your hands, wipe your whole body, wipe your bed, wipe your house, wipe your room. Whenever you have time, wipe the things that you think are possessing, jinns are possessing, wipe that area by repeating. Intend to burn the source of the possession away. Be it evil eye, be it hasad, be it jinn possession, be it sihr.
Okay, the next question. Okay, the next question is, Bismillah, how to kill the jinn? Can you teach us how to kill a jinn?
As we said, you repeat the du'as and the adhkar. If they're in the limb, for example, if they're in your arm, you place your right arm by saying Bismillah Allahu Akbar, and you recite whatever you know. You place your right hand on that left arm of yours, or on your chest, for example, and you intend to kill the jinn. You just intend and you keep repeating the du'as and the adhkar that have been legislated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and so on.
Also, to add to that question, Ustad, the individuals basically asked, is there any conditions? Like, for example, would they be in trouble if they just killed a jinn for no reason, and so forth?
No, if they are in your realm, then you give them three times permission. If they are, so 3 days permission, that's in the residence. I did not make that clear. So 3 days permission, you ask them to leave 3 times or 3 days. That's if they are in your residence and you can physically see them or sense them. You tell them to leave 3 times, 3 days. Yeah. However, if they're inside you, then they have crossed the boundary, they have crossed the line, they have transgressed. So there you don't give them any time. However, if they are Muslim jinn, the Raqis have generally sort of agreed upon, if they are Muslim jinn, then you give them, because of the hadith thrice, you give them, you don't give them 3 days, you give them chance 3 times. So tell them to leave. You ask them again to leave. You ask them again to leave 3 times. And after the 3rd time, if they don't leave, you have the permission to kill them through the legitimate ways of Ruqya. So you just recite the Quran, continue with the intention of killing the jinn wherever it is residing. It's all about intentions, because Allah sees where they are, so do the angels. So all you do is you're intending, you're asking Allah to kill the jinn wherever it is. That's what intention is. The intention is you are asking Allah to kill the jinn wherever it is. And your tawassul, the means you're taking is you're making dua or you're doing dhikr of Allah, which are then going and physically burning that jinn and that devil.
Okay, Bismillah. Next question. I wish to know, what are the conditions for the shayateen to possess you? Are there any conditions?
No, there is no condition. If they want to harm and harm you, it is them. So if they want to harm, they can harm.
And do they come out of their own will sometimes? Or a majority of the time, do they come out of their own will? Or is it something that triggers them to come?
The question shouldn't be asked like that. The question should be asked uh, how many types of them entering? Are there any types?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's one type which is free will. They come with their choice. The other one is they're forced. They are compelled. But both ways, if they are compelled, then when you ask them to leave and they say we can't leave, then you say why can't you leave? You find out why can't they leave. So if they say, for example, my parents have been kept as a ransom and so on and so forth, then you tell them become Muslim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect you and your parents. Ask them to become Muslim, or if the children, ask your children to become Muslim, and give them advice to leave. If they don't leave, again say 3 times for them to leave. If they don't become Muslim, if they don't leave, kill them, because they are oppressing. One's life, a Muslim's life, one's Muslim life is not given precedence over another Muslim's life. Is that clear? A Muslim life, one's Muslim's life is not given precedence over another Muslim's life. So the brother and sister who's been inflicted by another Muslim, right? Or he or she is not a Muslim, the jinn, and is being forced or blackmailed and so on, right? It's not given precedence over the Muslim who's been inflicted. Yeah, so you give them the permission, you ask them to leave 3 times, they don't leave. It doesn't matter if they're blackmailed or if they're being put in ransom or the children are being kept tied. No, you tell them to leave. They don't leave 3 times. After that, the Raqi is allowed to kill them, or you are allowed to kill them, because you're being harmed. You are being harmed. They'll if they die, and if they were sincere Muslims, they were truly, genuinely blackmailed, they will be shaheed. They will be shaheed. They'll get the reward of shahada.
Okay. The next question will start. Okay, Sheikh, I have heard when someone is very sad or crying alone in the washroom or the bedroom, the shayateen gets possessed during such conditions. Is this true?
Say that one more time.
Okay, I need to reword this one myself. Sheikh, I heard when someone is very sad or crying alone in the washroom or bedroom, does the shayateen possess that individual? Is it true? So, for example, if there's an individual who's in the toilet or the bedroom,
no, I understood.
right?
Okay. As I said before in the beginning, not everything the shayateen want or the sihr wants or the evil wants works, because they have to go through the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But just because they want to possess you, that doesn't mean that they will possess you. And just because you're crying or you're sad and you're upset, you're shouting and you're crying, or you're alone in the toilet, that doesn't mean you'll be possessed. Doesn't necessarily mean that. It can happen, but it doesn't mean it will happen. Also, there's an issue called probability. Yes, there are some places, sometimes the probability is more higher than other times. So what you say is the probability is more higher, but that doesn't mean it will happen.
Okay. Next question. Sheikh, reciting Surah Al-Baqarah prevents the jinn and shayateen. Then can we keep the doors open after reciting Surah Al-Baqarah? Would that help the shayateen leave?
No, it's a spiritual door. It's nothing to do with the physical door.
Okay.
It's a spiritual door, meaning what? Meaning it's a door that we cannot see with our eyes, but it's a physical door for them. So when you say Bismillah, it's a physical door for them that they cannot enter, and they're not meant to enter. But when they want to leave, and you're asking them to leave, they can leave. There's so many doors that is open for them to leave. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open that door for them to leave. And that door was there for them not to enter, not for them to leave, if you know what I mean. So it's what you intended that will work. So when you intend for them to leave, they'll be able to leave, even if the doors are, physical doors are closed.
SubhanAllah. Okay, the next one is, if you forget to say Bismillah, can you say Bismillah awwal wa akhir for every action you forget to say Bismillah? Even
Yeah,
with...
you can. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. Okay, I'm not gonna. There's a few questions here which are got to do with treatment plans. Brothers and sisters, you can go onto the Fitrah Center website, and there's a PDF there for the treatment plan, which I'll be uploading anyway before I end this session, inshallah. Okay, Ustad, how long? How many more questions can you take?
I can take 3 more, inshallah.
Inshallah.
We'll end at 7:30.
Any specific clothing for females to wear at nighttime? It's the sister who's written this has not been very clear. I've just tried to reword it myself. So any specific clothing that females should wear at nighttime to keep the shayateen away?
As long as you do your adhkar and you do your treatment plans, so you apply the black mask around your body, around your clothes. You can wear any clothes, inshallah ta'ala. All clothes are fine for you, especially if you have a husband. Then you can wear even the exotic clothes. These are all fine, inshallah.
Okay. Okay, the other questions are to do with treatment plans, so I'll put the treatment plan up. Okay, this question is got to do with nighttime and intimacy. The individual feels like the shayateen is coming to them and touching them where they shouldn't be.
Apply black mask. We start on black mask. Apply black mask.
Okay.
All over the body, on your headboard, on the bed, even in your washing machine when you wash your clothes. Apply a itar that doesn't leave any marks though on the clothes, but it leaves the perfume, it leaves the fragrance. Yeah. So apply that kind of itar. Inshallah. If not, then you can even apply, you can even recite on the liquid that has fragrance, good fragrance, which is powerful, good fragrance. Recite on that liquid and wash your clothes. Same with there's rose water. Recite on rose water and spray your house with rose water. This will make the devils run away because they are filthy. So anything beautiful, fragrant, nice, beautiful, they stay away. So if you feel the jinns are at night time, they come closer, obviously play the Quran up the volume, apply black mask on the doors, make sure it doesn't leave mark. So apply on the carpet, apply on the headboard, bed, apply on yourself. And rose water, use rose water, recite on it, spray it around your house, around the doors, around the windows, everywhere, inshallah. This will hurt the shaitan to come through. And obviously say Bismillah, Bismillah, Bismillah when you're spraying, when you're applying, with the intention of blocking.
Okay, so last question for today, inshallah. Are there any dream indications showing signs that the shayateen has been killed?
Best is if you see a dream, then contact myself through Fitrah Center, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah.